Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fast Intensive Podcast. It's been a long time coming. I'm Nathan. I'm one of your hosts. I'm here with my dad.
Hello.
Hello. We sit in my room and we talk about different things. So, basically, the idea for this podcast came. We like sports and stuff, and we seem to have differing viewpoints on a lot of topics. As much as we share the love of the game, sometimes we just have different viewpoints on things. And we just thought it'd be like a good idea for a podcast. Just talk about sports, upcoming things in the news, and we could just share our differing opinions on it. So that's just basically the purpose or the idea behind it. The genesis of the podcast idea, yeah. And then hopefully you guys enjoy it. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
So
please feel free to refer to me as Todd, not Dad.
You can refer to, he's my dad, so I'll refer to him as Dad. But, so yeah.
Thank you, son.
Yeah, no problem. So it's been a long time coming. We've had a few practice ones. We wanted to start like a first official one, but we've had a few things come up the last few months. So this is the first official one. So we're excited. So hopefully you taking this journey with us.
Yeah.
So what's on the agenda for today, Dad?
Well, I want to talk about the Live Golf and their association or non-association with the PGA. We could talk about the college football realignment as UCLA and USC have just decided to join the Big Ten and the ramifications of that and what's yet to come.
You mean the Big 14?
Yes. Vince McMahon retires suddenly, the WWE vice chairman, CEO. We'll talk about that a little bit. Julio Jones decided to sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Whoa.
And, of course, something that's all near and dear to our hearts is they've decided to put the kibosh on the Choco Taco.
You want to start with the Choco Taco?
But apparently there's been quite the backlash, so they're already talking about possibly bringing it back. So fingers crossed that once and again we'll see the Choco Taco in a freezer aisle near you.
Do you like that was a good advertisement. Do you like the Choco Taco?
I did like the Choco Taco.
I've never had a Choco Taco.
Yeah, it's like a waffle cone, but it's like folded like a taco, and it has ice cream stuff later in there. It's very delicious. The only problem with Choco Taco is if it starts melting really quick, it goes quick. So
well, it's because it's like it's a big old taco.
Yes.
So I'm not a big chocolate guy, so
yes.
It's not like I'm like Choco Taco.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like a weird let's take this ice cream, let's make it a taco.
It just novelty, just change. It's like take the same item, but we'll change the appearance of it, and it'll sell.
Yeah. Well, how long has it's been around? Didn't it start in like the 80s?
I'm not sure the genesis of it, but yeah, it's been around quite often. I mean, anytime you go to a local grocery store or a convenient mart, or even the ice cream man, with Safety Clown, good old scary looking Safety Clown. The little guys, as we used to call him, the Ding Ding Man.
Oh, the ice cream. Oh.
They would sell the Choco Taco, and along with the push-ups and whatever else they had, either the little bars with any kind of animal cartoon character face on it.
Did you say Safety Clown? Is that the name of the guy on the...
The guy on the back.
Oh, okay. I
Picture
never knew
Safety
that.
Clown, yes.
Yeah. See, do they have ice cream trucks as much anymore?
They do, but they don't have the bell. I think they have like a pre-recorded song they play.
Oh.
Whatever, how the song goes, sorry.
The last time I saw one was at the Oklahoma game when we went.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, because they bring a lot of stuff back now. Like, they brought back the Mexican pizza Taco Bell, and it sold out in like a weekend. Like, they don't have them anywhere anymore. And I feel just fast food in general is really weird now. Like the chicken sandwich at Popeyes, when people died over it.
Mm-hmm.
And then then they have like a strawberry frosty now at Wendy's, and that went ballistic too. So I don't know. I can see people getting upset about the Choco Taco. It'll come back.
Well, anything new, that's the fad thing to have or try, and once the initial push dies down, then.
My big one was French Toast Crunch when they brought back the cereal.
Oh, yeah?
Because I remember we used to try to find it was only in like Canada or like another country, and then they brought it back. French Toast Crunch is pretty good.
Well, they speak French up there in Canada, so they probably have an in with the French.
Would you like another bowl of French Toast Crunch? Oui, oui. All right. So shout out to all your Choco Taco lovers. Hopefully you'll be back.
Fingers crossed you'll see it again.
You probably will.
Yes.
They're fold under pressure.
Yes.
So. All right. So which one do you want to start off with? After that wonderful discussion about the Choco Taco.
Yes. Let's talk about the Live Golf and what it means to golf in general. It's funded by the Saudis, and it's officially the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. And they've hired Greg Norman as their CEO and commissioner. Side note, they did offer it to Jack Nicklaus, but he turned it down. And he said he was offered nearly $100 million for the position. But they have purses of up to $25 million per tournament, and the winner is guaranteed $4 million down to last place, who makes I think he makes close to $120,000 for coming in last. But they've come in and they've made significant offers. Dustin Johnson, who is arguably maybe the number one player in the world, they offered him $125 million just to join a contract, just to join the league. And they have offered Phil. They're not sure the exact actual figure, but maybe up to upwards of $200 million just to sign. And they've also brought in some other big names like Sergio Garcia, Charles Schwartzel, Graham McDowell, along with Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed, who's a Ryder Cup legend. And speaking of legends, also Ian Poulter and Lee Westwood have joined. And I think just recently Henrik Stenson. And he was a big one because he was scheduled to be the European Ryder Cup captain. And once he took this membership to the Live Golf League, they stripped him of the captaincy. And of course, it's a competing faction, so the PGA is like anybody who goes to play for the Live is banning these players from the PGA tournament. And their only saving grace is that the major championships, like the Masters, the PGA, the U.S. Open, and the Open Championship, which is the British Open, or played overseas, they just call it the Open because it's the original, are led by governing bodies, not the PGA. So those governing bodies are allowed to decide who plays and who doesn't. So that's just a synopsis of it. But the controversy is that some of the 9/11 hijackers were Saudi Arabia. I want to say tenants, but that's not the word I want. They had Saudi Arabia backing, so...
just not the exact phrasing.
Yeah, sorry. But they had links with the September 11 attacks. I guess they call them Saudi nationals. 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi nationals. And that's where the controversy comes in because, basically these people are saying that these guys are playing for blood money.
Mm-hmm.
And... I will give credit to Phil. He has gone out and held press conferences and talked on the subject. Now, he's kind of talked around the subject a little bit because he says nobody supports, human rights violations, but they try to ask him expressly and specifically about the Saudis, and he just, once again says, nobody supports human rights violations. We just want to play golf and what have you. But I think, as we talked about earlier, Phil's more there as a name than a golfer because, Phil's on the back end of his career, and he's not going to be competing for many titles, as we go forward. But he's just, I think he was there as a figurehead, and having him in the league, I think will also help draw in other potential golfers. But, Greg Norman has said they're not going to back off. They're going to keep pursuing other golfers. Now, several golfers like Tiger and Rory McIlroy and some other guys have committed to the PGA and said, this is where I got my start, so I'm committed to staying with the PGA. But that in a nutshell, well, not really a nutshell, but that's kind of the argument for and against it. So I guess it's how your conscience leads you if you're all right taking the money from people who have questionable backgrounds, or if you're just there because you're making money. It's a money grab. I mean, no matter what they say, they're just there because they're making a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
But
I guess it just depends on their moral ambiguity. Is that the correct phrasing?
Yeah, it's whether or not you can justify it to yourself, and apparently the guys who join have been able to justify it to themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I understand completely how it'd be hard to turn down.
Yes.
Millions, because what they say, 120,000 just for losing.
Yeah.
Like being last place. I mean, that's a lot of money. Any way you think about it, and then getting like 120 million just to join the league. So, I don't really want to make like too much of like a, because this is kind of a political thing too. Well, it's like it's politically sided. Where, yes, these are people who have questionable past. People have talked about how this league or this golf league, because they talk about, because we said we're going to talk about Vince McMahon. He had like those Saudi Arabia shows too, where they pay him lots of money to go perform big shows in front of their crowds.
Yeah.
So like they're trying to make them seem like they care and that like we're working together. But a lot of people think that they're just using this money to win over favors from people to kind of lean away from the things they've done, like the 9/11 attacks. So I can see both sides to it. So I guess for the golfers themselves, it comes down to, like you said, if they're able to convince themselves that, oh, this money's worth it, as opposed to like whatever I personally feel about the situation.
And the criticisms they'll face. There's an organization called the Families of the 9/11 Victims, or something like that. Sorry, I don't have that name exactly right, but they had called out Phil, and some of the other golfers for playing in it, because they feel like the people that back this golf league are the ones that are responsible for the terror attacks and killing many people, especially their own family members.
Well, I don't blame them too, because that's obviously something. 9/11 is an event that's completely unforgivable, and so I don't blame them at all for feeling that sort of way. Excuse the cat that's meowing in the background. We do so many practice podcasts without the damn cat. We do one official one. She decides she wants to be the center of the show.
She wants to be the mascot.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I can see it. So, I don't know. And then I think Rory McIlroy's come out and said things, because like talk about loyalty to like the PGA that's made a lot of these names, and then they're just going to leave for like crap tons of money. Obviously, you got to do what's best for your own interest, because people are going to be set for life with this money, but. Yeah. That's also another conversation. We talk about just people leaving different teams and stuff to go get money and not staying loyal to whatever company made them. But at the same time, what point is it where you have to go make the best decision for your own self?
Yeah, but I guess also how much money is too much money. I mean, these guys that have joined have already made quite a bit of money, on the PGA Tour and that living. I mean, okay, yeah, this company's going to throw that much more money at you. But, Phil's 50, early 50s. I mean, he's made close to $100 million on the PGA, I think it was. How much more money does he need? I mean, he's got endorsements. Well, he did. He's lost several endorsements now. But, so he's living comfortably. He's not, I don't think him and his family are struggling at all. As many of these top golfers I listed. I mean, there's a lot more golfers in this LIV league, but, they're not names that we know.
Well, I'll never root against an athlete for going to make as much money as possible. Because if you have the opportunity to make money, of course you're going to want to make money. I personally wouldn't. I mean, I guess I'm not a good golfer. I've never had the opportunity to. But I don't know if I would feel comfortable taking money from like a Saudi Arabia company, knowing the history and that these people directly link to those things. Especially if it's like a money grab to make themselves look better. I feel like morally, I don't think that's, in my opinion, what I would do. But then again, if people are able to live with themselves and face the criticism just to get the money, I guess they got to live with that decision.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would be a hard decision, but to me, if they're linked to the greatest tragedy in the history of the world, or one of the greatest tragedies in the history, or modern times, let's say modern times, yeah, I would have a hard time justifying that.
I would too. So,
well, since you mentioned Vince McMahon, let's move to him next. He announced his retirement here, which was kind of a shock. Nobody was expecting it. But then it turns out he has a lawsuit, has had a lawsuit filed against him by, was it one woman or several women?
I think it's several women.
Several women accusing him of sexual harassment and that type of allegations. I know you're a little bit more of the WWE guy. What can you tell me about it?
So there was companies undergoing an investigation It says there was a $3 million hush money payment from Vince McMahon to a former employee to who he had an affair with. And it says that employee got a pay raise from $100,000 to $200,000 when the affair started. And they all John Laurinaitis, if you watch WWE, he was on TV for a while. He acted like a GM at one point. Well, he's the head of talent relations, and apparently it started that when Vince started having that affair, he passed her off to like John Laurinaitis, and they used the quote like a toy. Is how they used it. So like he was
so like they both slept with her, basically?
Yeah. So like he was having an affair with her, gave her a pay raise, paid a bunch of people money to keep it quiet, and then when he was done like having this affair, he gave her so John Laurinaitis could then have do whatever, I guess.
So she actually worked in WWE offices?
Yeah, she was an employee, I guess.
Okay.
I'm not sure because I think there's multiple allegations. I'm not 100% sure, but the gist of it is he's paying employees and people money, like millions of dollars, to keep it quiet. So obviously that investigation was going on. So Stephanie McMahon, his daughter, took interim role as CEO, but now he stepped down. So chances are this investigation, I don't think they've said officially, but it's probably the board wanted him to step down, especially maybe if they found that these allegations were true. So, but it's just hard to believe because from all the stuff, interviews, I listen to a lot of wrestling, like interviews and stuff. Vince McMahon seems like a guy, he's like, when he's at his mindset, he's just going to do whatever. Like, he's kind of like the heavy, like, he does whatever to keep his company going. And
well, that's the mindset that made the WWE what it is. He took it from a fledgling corporation.
And then he turned it
and brought up all these other little fledgling corporations and brought them all together to, form the WWE.
Yeah, but even like creative-wise, like everyone has to go through Vince. Vince has the final say. He'll change whatever he wants. He always has to make his little tweak to things, and he has to have it his own way. It just seems really hard to think that he would have ever let go unless he like died, because he's 78, I think.
Yeah, isn't he also in charge of coming up with the wrestlers' personas and who they're going to be or
I think wrestlers kind of have an idea, because like for a while they were signing a lot of indie people, like people on the independents, like Adam Cole. Daniel Bryan was the big one. Well, I guess he's Bryan Danielson now. But they would go to WWE kind of with their own persona, and he would make kind of tweaks to things. But a lot of the indies left because they didn't like Vince's creative control, and they went to like All Elite Wrestling where they have more freedom to do what they want. So a lot of those guys are going there. So I think because they have a big performance center now where they develop talent, and so I think a lot of it's going to come through there where he'll get to say what they want to do. And then he has like new gimmicks ideas.
Well, they have like a minor league circuit that they run. What's that?
NXT.
Yeah, the NXT.
And that was being run by Triple H for a while.
And Triple H is
he's now the head of. He's a former wrestler, and he's married to Stephanie McMahon, his daughter. And so when he retired, he kind of assumed
he's Vince's son-in-law.
Yeah, essentially, he's like I guess that's the easy way to say it, right?
Essentially.
Yes, essentially. Yep. So he's the he got into corporate role, and so NXT is kind of like a development area. So, like, people would go there to wrestle, make a name for themselves, and then they'd get promoted to, like, Raw and SmackDown, the shows. Well, Triple H was the creative of that, and then Vince took it over and kind of made a tweak to it. And I haven't watched it since, but I don't think it gets as good reviews then as well. But now Vince is gone. Triple H is now the head of creative. So now he's going to be the one making all the decisions. Which, when I watched NXT when Triple H was running it, actually was really good to watch. He had like Shinsuke, they had Bobby Roode doing good, Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. I don't know if you know any of these people, obviously, but it was really. Triple H does a good job giving all their wrestlers their shine, and I think Vince he has certain people he likes, like Roman Reigns. He pushed them and pushed him and pushed them to the point where no one else had like a storyline or anything idea. He just wanted Roman Reigns to win at WrestleMania every year because he wanted him to be the next head guy. And so I think Vince was very short-sighted on what he wants. I think Triple H will do a better job in the future. But that's kind of the gist of what happened.
Well,
in a big, long nutshell.
I would have to think that Vince is still calling some of the shots from behind the scenes, even though he's technically stepped down or retired.
Technically. They said his day-to-day creative role is over, but who knows
what that means.
Yeah. And it's Stephanie and Nick Khan, I think, are co-CEOs now. I'm not sure what Nick Khan's exact role was, but he's been there for a while. So, yeah. And then they had SummerSlam last night, which was like I think that's probably the first pay-per-view in forever that Vince wasn't running, because he's been there since the 80s. So, and he's like the head creative and talent. He's always back there with his headset, talking to people's ear, running every show. So that's probably the first one in forever that he wasn't running, besides like the NXT ones. So
is he still I don't know? Is he still going to be involved in XFL?
Vince?
Yeah.
I don't think he owns it anymore. Dwayne Johnson owns it now.
Okay.
Because during COVID it shut down.
Yeah.
And I think Dwayne bought it because that's coming back next year, right?
Yes.
So I don't think he's involved with that at all.
Well, the XFL always seems to get off to a fairly decent start, and then some troubles prop up, like COVID or some financial issues or something. But to me, it always seems like it's a good product in the field. I mean, it's fairly fast-paced, and there's scoring and action, which is what people want. And they always have a few funky rules and stuff to draw people in. But
I don't remember. I was 2 years old when the first one came out. I don't remember a lot about it. But I think the issue with that one was he used like WWE talent to like promote it, and they like mixed them together, and I think it kind of turned off a lot of people. It turned more into like a gimmick thing than like actual football, which is why the 2020 one was really good because it was like a football broadcast, and like I was rooting for the Battlehawks because they had a couple Nebraska players there, and it was just fun to watch. But unfortunately, COVID kind of had to ruin it. So hopefully, it makes a good comeback.
Yeah, if you're interested in the XFL, there's a good 30 for 30 on it about the origins, and they actually had some really good talent, and not only on the field but in the booth. They actually had some big names that were the play-by-play and broadcast guys. So if you get a chance, go back and watch that.
What's the guy who had because they had the nicknames on the back, right? He Hate Me, was that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was a big one. Since we kind of delved into football there, what do you think about the college football realignment that's going on again? Was this Phase 4, Phase 5, Phase 6 now?
The Big 14?
Yeah, the Big 10 has swooped in and grabbed UCLA and USC to bring them into the fold starting next year. And, of course, this is a natural reaction to Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC. So, do you have any thoughts on it? What you think about it? Because now the Big Ten's coast to coast, New Jersey, Maryland, to USC, UCLA.
I don't really care in the long run, but like, the conferences are so skewed now is the thing. Because now it's going to be like the Power 3 conferences. So because everyone's just shifting and moving. Yeah. It's all a money thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if the NCAA cares enough, I guess they would do something about it. As like a personal fan, just sitting there, now we just get to watch USC and UCLA now. So, I mean, it's kind of cool just to see new teams. But I think for like the market of like the smaller conference, it's kind of going to become an issue if all these people are leaving and going to other conferences. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's just too bad that the stronger conferences can just go in and cherry pick,
whoever they want
from these other conferences, and then these other conferences are left flailing away. I mean, now the Big 12 and the Pac-10 or Pac-12, whatever it is, with their leftover teams, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. They're just trying to decide if they're going to work together, scheduling-wise, what have you, or merge, or they're just going to try to cherry pick other teams to bring to their conferences. When I was younger, conferences were all about regionality. Mm-hmm. All teams are all in a specific locale. I mean, Big 12 now you got West Virginia in the Big 12. You got Rutgers and Maryland in the Big 10. I guess SEC is actually the closest one geographically.
Yeah, all
to
those
staying
teams.
In a footprint.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, the Big 10, if they want to, compete, the UCLA and USC were the two big fish out there. I mean, some people would argue Oregon because of their Nike-backed money, Phil Knight and all his money, but apparently they want eyeballs, and they didn't think Oregon was going to provide enough eyeballs. But yeah, it'll be fun to see these teams playing each other. I mean, they and I don't know what's going to do for non-conference schedules. I got a feeling you're going to see a lot of major schools versus the directional schools. And when I say a directional school, for those of you who aren't sure, that's like a North Carolina, like a West Virginia, like a East Carolina. That's why they call them directional schools, because they have a direction in their name of their school. So they just call them directional schools.
I don't know. Everything's about money. This is kind of what we got down to. Money, Vince McMahon, money, the golf, money in the realignment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of like you about the regional thing. I always hate it when like the regions don't make sense. I don't know. I don't know if I have an example off the top of my head. Like I think Minnesota and like the NBA's in the Western Conference, but it's like not a wet. It's like Midwest, so it just doesn't really
West of the Mississippi.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't really make much sense. Just conferences in general, but I mean, and then I think the most annoying thing is we're playing in the Big Ten, so it's like implying that like it's the Big Ten schools, but then we have 14 of them, so it's like it's not the Big 10 anymore; it's the Big 14. Like maybe we should change the names of these things.
Yeah, when they got Penn State to join, they changed the logo, so it was still a Big Ten, but there was 11 teams, and they had it look around the T, it looked like an 11.
Yeah,
but now it's just like they're not even trying to hide it. We're the Big Ten, even though 10 of what? 10 plus.
Yeah,
we're the Big 10 plus. Who knows? And it won't stop, like you said. It's going to become some power conferences. Now, the only big fish out there right now is Notre Dame. They're still, except for football, I believe all their sports are tied to the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
But geographically, they're a perfect fit for the Big Ten. They're basically right in there.
Yeah.
And if the Big Ten really wanted to, they could try to hold them over a barrel and say, well, we're not going to let any of our conference brethren play you. Because, Notre Dame's independent. And they go to everywhere to fill out their schedule. And they play a lot of big-name teams.
Mm-hmm.
But whether or not the Big Ten will actually do that, because those individual schools might want that contest with Notre Dame on their schedule, because that'll bring in the revenue and the dollars just for that game.
Mm-hmm.
So does the conference hold their independent institutions hostage to get Notre Dame? And then what if you don't get Notre Dame? Then you say, okay, we're going to play you now? Or do you stick to your guns and not play Notre Dame ever again, which would be a lot of loss of potential revenue for you.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people felt like Notre Dame was kind of over a barrel, but I think Notre Dame kind of doubled down on their independence and said, well, we're still a big enough name, and there's a rule in the playoff alignment that they have a shot if Notre Dame's ranked at a certain ranking and above, I think it's maybe the top 12 of the teams in the country at the end of the year. Don't quote me, but I think that was what it was, that they can have a playoff spot in the playoffs. So I mean, I think they still feel like they're stronger as an independent right now.
Yeah, I don't have much of thought on it, to be honest. I think the main thing is that we just want to see whoever school you root for. You want to see yourself play other in new schools. I think just playing different people every year is fun. But I like the conference schedule, right? But watching Wisconsin, Michigan every year is kind of boring. So I think it's cool to get some new faces and stuff in there.
Yeah.
And eventually, if it gets to the point where the conferences are too powerful, I think it's just going to be up to the NCAA to do something about it if they truly care about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You want to see your school play new teams, but you also want to see your school play good teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they always throw a couple little boner games in there, for lack of a better term, where they're just bringing a team in, pay them a chunk of money to get another home game and blow them out on the field. And hey, we made some money, we got a W, and hopefully we didn't get anybody hurt, and it's a nice payday for the school that came in.
So even if people kind of are concerned about the money aspect of it, I mean, that's an example right there. Money's in everything. Yeah. They're already doing it to go beat up on some poor school. So, but I mean, for the school, that's also good. They get a crap ton of money to help develop their program. So, I mean, that's kind of a beneficial.
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
Who do we pay this year? The
Georgia Southern.
A directional school?
Yeah.
Or North Dakota?
Yeah.
The Fighting Hawks?
Actually, North Dakota's a pretty good school.
But, they're a big school, yeah.
Yeah.
They're good at hockey.
Yeah.
So all the Dakotas are good at hockey, I guess.
Well, I know you wanted to talk about a certain person not coming to your team. You want to talk about Julio and the schoolyard he picked to play in, which wasn't yours?
Oh, yeah. Schoolyard. That's a nice Paul Simon reference. Yeah. Mr. Julio Jones signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, giving Tom Brady another weapon. So, being a Packer fan, there's rumors that Julio Jones was going to sign there, especially with Devontae Adams leaving. They kind of need another veteran receiver there, because as of now, Allen Lazard's are technically our number one receiver, which doesn't give me a whole lot of hope for the year. But I mean, I guess it just depends. Julio Jones, what now? 35, 34, 33?
Yeah,
something around there. It just depends on if he can stay healthy and how effective he's going to be. So, I mean, I think for Julio Jones, I'm not surprised by the decision. A chance to go play with the greatest quarterback ever, have a chance to win a Super Bowl. I think it's good for him because he hasn't won a Super Bowl. The only reason he didn't win the Super Bowl is because of I don't want poor Falcons fans. I don't want to mention that again. We're just not going to say it. 28-3, but so I don't know. I mean, if he turns out having a great year, I'll be more disappointed. But at the end of the day, I'm not too upset about it as like a Packer fan. But I think it's good for Julio Jones. Go try and get yourself a ring. I think he was loyal to Atlanta. He's proven that he was one of the top receivers in the game. I mean, it's not like him leaving is not like a fault on him. He just wants to probably go win a title. So,
my thought is, I haven't seen any contract details, but I got to assume the money was fairly similar to whoever offered him a contract. We know Green Bay, we know Tampa Bay. I'm sure there was a couple others. So I think the decision for him came down to, if he goes to Green Bay, he's going to be the number one guy.
Uh-huh.
He's going to be the big fish. In Tampa Bay, he's going to go and be one of many. Gronk's retired, but you have Godwin, you have Cameron Brate, you have Mike Evans. I mean, he'll be one of just many, options for Tom Brady. And I think the fact that he's been coming off a couple of bad injuries the last few years, I think the fact that being on a team with that much talent will probably limit, his time and maybe significantly lessen the chance of another injury for him. And I think at this time, if he's chasing a ring, which we assume he is, that would probably be the better option. He's looking for the ring, not stats. He probably would be able to put up a lot more numbers and have a lot more options, with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense. But, I think he just looks at Brady, and I'm sure Brady, talked to him. I'm sure those guys reach out. Yeah. That he could just be one of many and not have to worry about injuries as much. And to me, that was probably the overriding factor in him choosing to sign with Tampa.
Well, even also, just Tom Brady himself retiring and coming back. This could be the only opportunity to play with the greatest quarterback of all time. And then the fact that he still plays at an elite level every year, and you still get the opportunity to win Super Bowl. I mean, and I don't think no one was offering Julio Jones a lot of money anyways. It would probably be like minimums.
Well, it's probably incentive laden.
Exactly.
You play so many games, so many catches.
So maybe being the number one guy is not because you get all the coverage and stuff. If he's not as healthy, maybe being like a third, fourth option, he has more opportunities to. He won't get. I don't want to say as many opportunities because he probably won't. But if he's facing more single coverage and has, if he looks better, I think, as like a third or fourth, maybe he could prove that he's still valuable if he wants another contract later.
I agree.
So, I mean, it'd be nice to have him in Green Bay, but I don't think that's much of a factor. I don't think.
Yeah. I actually think he probably made the best decision, in my opinion. I mean, do I want to see him at Tampa Bay with Tom Brady? No. But, for what he has to do for himself and his chances of becoming a Super Bowl champion, I think he's picked the right decision.
Okay, he screwed me in fantasy last year, too.
Yeah.
That was a big disaster.
Wow.
that was we don't need to talk about
that. Yep. The baseball trade deadline's coming up. There have been a few deals. Anything stick out to you so far? Is there anything you're expecting to come down yet? As the deadlines, I think the deadline's the 3rd or 4th of August.
Yeah.
So like 4 more days.
What's his face? Frankie Montez from the A's is probably going to go somewhere. Luis Castillo just went to the Mariners, which is good because the Mariners you kind of just want to root for because they haven't made the playoffs in so long, and the fact that they're in it and they're really competitive. They have young guys like Julio Rodriguez doing really well. I'm excited for them, so I'm glad they're making.
Well, now that they've had the second wild card, it's
the third wild card.
Third. It's spurred some teams on to maybe go for it.
Well, shoot, Baltimore's in it, don't they?
Yeah, they came out of nowhere lately.
They're like 3 games out, so they could be buyers too if they really want to. So, Benintendi went to the Yankees. which I didn't think would happen because he wasn't vaccinated. Because if he has to play Toronto in like a series, that's an issue if he can't go. But apparently he told Kansas City he was going to get vaccinated if a team like the Yankees would go and get him. So that's just another bat for them, especially because Joey Gallo didn't turn out to be much enough. And,
boom or bust.
no, he's Homer or striker.
Strikeout, yep, exactly.
Yeah. And he's down like 100, so he didn't turn out. But apparently they said the Brewers were interested in him, so maybe they can get him off. So that's just another contact guy. They have enough power over there in New York. They don't need any more power. Trust me. So, Juan Soto's a big thing too. I think they say? I think it was
the Padres.
The Padres were the big ones, and I think the Cardinals were interested too.
Yes.
And there's another team, but I can't think of who it is. So we'll see if Juan Soto gets traded, because I don't know if he has another year on his contract or not, or if this is like it for him. But if you turn down 14 years, $450 million, whatever it was, I don't blame the Nationals for wanting a trade.
It was a lot.
Yeah, I think at that point, Juan Soto doesn't want to play for the Nationals if he's going to decline all that money. Well, plus, if you never know, too, who wants to tie up for a team for 14 years. You never know what could happen in those 14 years. I don't blame someone for wanting to sign for a contract that long, but I think he's at the point he just doesn't want to be in Washington. So I don't blame them for going, well, we may as well trade him and get a bunch of assets for him. Because a team like the Yankees, because I think the Yankees were interested, even though they probably won't get him, they're going to get a crap ton of stuff for him. So, and I think David, I don't know much else. It just depends on who's going to sell, who's going to buy. Kansas City has pieces they could sell. The Red Sox are probably going to be sellers now. Let me look at I have to look at the standings to see, because like we said, there's like the big names out there, but it just depends on which teams is going to sell them and which teams are going to buy them.
Well, you can be a seller, but you got to have somebody who wants to buy what you have.
Exactly. And
then you have to agree on the compensation too. I mean, so teams have to be able to match up. Sometimes a team might want to buy what you have, but maybe they don't have the pieces that you're looking for in a trade. So, you move on to another team or what have you. Like, we'll take the Benintendi trade where the Royals traded the Benintendi to the Yankees, and they got 3 pitchers in return. Well, I think what Kansas City's philosophy was, they decided to go for quantity over quality. I mean, not that these guys aren't good pitchers, but they're not like elite pitchers. But they're 3 minor league guys, and I think they're hoping that maybe 1 or 2 of them will hit instead of putting all their eggs in one basket and going for a higher named guy. And if he doesn't pan out or doesn't has an injury, or let's say God forbid, I mean, then they basically have nothing. And that's what they're dealing with now. The Royals can't develop pitching, so they're trying to acquire it via trade. And so instead of just getting 1 piece, I think they figure, well, let's get 3 pieces, and maybe 1 or 2 of these guys will become something, rather than just one guy who might or might not.
Well, even then, it's not like, no offense to Royals fans, but it's not like they're going to be doing anything anytime soon. Probably they're going to be in a big rebuild.
Oh, so they're a couple of years away. Still.
Exactly. So Benintendi is only on the contract for the rest of this year. You just get 3 prospects from him. If they turn into something cool, otherwise Benintendi just walks. So I got a list here of top trade deadline candidates and like the best team they'd fit with. Juan Soto was listed. They said he'd be best for the Yankees, but I don't think the Yankees will get him. Or at least I hope not. Pablo Lopez for the Marlins. They have him going to the Twins. I'm just looking at big names here. Frankie Montas, like we said, he'll be a good pitcher for someone. Martin Perez, he's having an all-star year with Texas.
Yes.
That was a giant piece of crap. Sorry. Brian Reynolds for Pittsburgh. Wilson Contreras for the Cubs. He's a big name.
Yeah.
I saw somewhere that oh my God, I'm getting all these reports and teams confused. Someone was looking for him, and they said if they couldn't get Wilson Contreras, Christian Vasquez for the Red Sox could potentially be someone. There's things that J.D. Martinez could be on the move too, even though he struggled lately. So,
yeah. You hear rumors, and I know they're based in fact somewhat, but you just don't know. I mean, maybe they talk about a guy, and like we said earlier, they just can't reach agreement on compensation, so they decide to keep the guy. I mean, but if you know a team's trying to trade somebody and you were interested, and you feel like they have to trade that guy. Well, you're not going to offer him your best prospects. You're going to say, well, here's a guy we wouldn't mind dealing. And if the other team doesn't want him, you say, okay, well, sorry. So, if you're a seller, I mean, the buyers kind of have you over a barrel a little bit. I mean, yeah, you can say no, but, I mean, in the end, like the Royals, there's rumors that they want to trade Merrifield because of what he said about the vaccination if he was on a good team. So other teams kind of know that they want to get rid of Merrifield. So what they've been doing is playing him now, hoping that he's playing better, and it'll show other teams that he might be worthy of acquiring.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, these teams know that they really would like to get him off their books, so they're not going to be giving him the Royals their best option. So it'll be interesting to see if he's still with the team. But honestly, I don't think the Royals can hold on to him.
Yeah. So I mean, at least for these big name guys like Washington, like the teams that are completely out of it and are going to sell because they need to get something for him, so they're not just a wasted investment.
Yes,
that's obvious. So but teams like Baltimore that could potentially be in it. Maybe Boston wants to give it a go still. If they decide they don't want to sell anyone, that's the stuff that's going to be kind of up in the air. But the Yankees are going to be looking to buy someone. The Dodgers are going to be looking to buy someone. Who else is a really good team right now? The Mets are probably going to be looking to add pieces. They're getting DeGrom back Tuesday, so it just depends. So I'm kind of excited to see how it plays out, though.
Yeah,
I always like the baseball trade deadline, and baseball is one of the deadlines that's usually pretty active.
Yeah.
So.
Well, just because they have minor league players to deal from. So, I mean, like NFL, you're not like, well, I got this guy in AA down here. He's a really good receiver. I mean, in the NFL, you're trading, guys off your roster. Was it how many guys does the NFL roster
53.
hold? 53. For 53, so somebody's fairly good. For somebody fairly good, so you can't just do like I'll give you this great guy for 3 of your potential guys. It just doesn't work like that in the league.
Well, in the NFL too, most of the time they're picks, like just a 5th round pick for.
Yeah, well, someone. That's a good point.
Because picks in the NFL are so valuable. Someone can come and join the team right away because there's so many roster spots. Like you said, baseball is so many prospects because the farm systems are so huge. You can just give up like 4 prospects easily and get someone. And then, like you said, for a team that's selling, if they turn out to be something good, otherwise, whatever. At least we got someone. And then NBA is more like rotational pieces. They trade a lot of picks, too, because there's only 2 rounds. But then again, there's only, like, I think 15 spots on the roster. So even a pick's not, like, the end-all, be-all. So yeah, it's a lot easier for trades to go down in baseball. And they have so much money to be able to throw around. That's another thing, too, like cap issues. Baseball doesn't really have a cap. So, like...
Well, they do,
but it's so high that the only teams hitting are, like, the Yankees and the Dodgers. It's like... Oh, did you see that stat about Kyler Murray's new contract extension? His new extension and what he's going to be making is more than the A's entire payroll. The team that drafted him in baseball. So they say he made the right choice going to play in the NFL. Baseball's got like an issue there.
Well, yeah, I was going to say baseball has a cap, but it's like
$250 million.
But if you want, you can break it.
Yeah.
The NFL, it doesn't work that way. You can't go above it.
It's a hard cap.
Yeah, you can't go above
baseball, you just pay whatever extra in taxes.
Yeah, you ever see that skit by Jimmy Gaffigan? He's talking about the Catholic religion stuff, and he's like all the rules. And don't eat meat on Friday. Unless you forget.
I think I may have seen that.
That's kind of like the baseball cap,
Yeah. You
don't go above it unless you can.
Yeah.
So
it just depends on if the team wants to pay the extra money.
Yeah.
But New York, they'll do it because they probably make so much money.
Yeah, TV revenue and everything on top of that.
Just Yankee caps in general. Yeah. Most popular hat in the world. A Yankee hat.
I see them all the time.
Thanks, Jay-Z. So.
Well, that was all I had on my agenda. Is there anything that you wanted to get to or talk about?
Oh, we did a practice podcast. We made our baseball predictions.
Yes.
And I think it'd be kind of fun to go through them right now so the listeners can hear what we had.
Oh, okay.
I just thought, and then we can see how terrible our picks were.
Do you want to go through them or you want?
Sure.
Okay.
So, where do you want to start? The National League or the American League?
Whatever.
We'll start with the National League. So, in the NL East, I had Atlanta I think I just picked Atlanta over the Mets because they're the defending World Series champions.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I always have to give my respect to the champs. But I think they're only like a game and a half out over the Mets, so that's pretty good. You picked the Mets.
Yes.
So
Max Scherzer,
yep. Jagom coming back. Can't beat that duo. We both picked Milwaukee in the Central, which I believe they're in the lead. I don't know about how many games. I'm going to pull up the standings again just to double check everything here. Yeah, they're up by like 4 games. And then in the West, you picked San Diego to overthrow the Dodgers in the West. That was pretty close for a while. The Padres have been kind of in a big slump lately.
Well, they've had a lot of injuries, too.
That's true. So that went from, if close race, I think the Dodgers are 12 games up now. So, but in the wild card, I had the Mets as my first wild card because I still think they're going to be a good team like you did. And then you had Atlanta as your first. So we kind of went back and just mixed them up a little bit there.
Yeah.
You had the Dodgers as your second wild card. I had San Diego. So once again, just flip-flop. And then we both had St. Louis.
Yeah.
And then I had the Dodgers winning the NL because I just think they're too stacked. And then you had the Mets, probably for their pitching, right?
Well, the pitching and actually getting really good offensive production this year. You know, Lindor came back to form to what they thought he was going to be. And so, yeah.
Yeah, because he really struggled at the beginning of last year.
And speaking of the trade deadline, it'd be interesting to see if the Mets do something.
They'd have to get like a bat or something, probably. Because their pitching... The pitching's definitely their strong suit. Okay, and then we'll go to the American League. You had Tampa Bay winning the division.
Yeah, I like where they were at the end of the year with their young guys and their veterans, and they've struggled this year, and they've had several injuries, and then now Kiermaier's out for the year, I believe, and just they're kind of hurting in the bullpen. Their bullpen was like decimated, so. They're probably not going to win the division, but they still have a shot for the wild card. I mean, because nobody's going to catch the Yankees. Who actually neither one of us picked to win the division, which looks kind of bad right now. But
yeah, I went with the Toronto hype train because they were kind of the big favorites going out of the offseason because all the moves they made. They have the first wild card though, so I'm not upset about that pick. Plus the Yankees, we knew they were going to be good offensively. And I think it was just down to the pitching we're kind of worried about. But the pitching has been really good. Yeah. Montgomery's been good. Nestor Cortez is an all-star. Clay Holmes in the back of that bullpen's ridiculous. I think they're just kind of... Aaron Judge having a year we all know he's capable of, but 41 homers already. It's not even August yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's just ridiculous what they're doing. Like, no one could have predicted that. But, okay. And then the Central, we both had the White Sox. They've kind of been the big disappointment of the year. As of now, they're 50-50 going in today.
And Tim Anderson just got suspended for 3 games for bumping an umpire, so that won't help.
Yes. They're still a few games out of the wild card. I think they're like 3 games out. They're 3.5 out. So, I mean, there's a chance, but that pick's not looking too good for us. Houston, I think we all kind of assumed Houston would win the division. Well, that's not true because I think you liked the Angels going into the year, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought they, after a couple years they had made a couple moves, and I thought, they have a good team. But once again, they've had the 2 best players in baseball, but they're disappointing. They just.
So for our wild cards, I had the Yankees as my first wild card. I hate picking the Yankees in my soul, but I just thought they were too good on paper, probably offense wise. And then I didn't think they'd be obviously as ridiculous as they are. But you had Toronto as your first wild card. So I think we both were believers in Toronto. I had Tampa Bay as my second wild card.
And the Red Sox as your third.
And the Red Sox as my third, yes. Being a Red Sox fan, I kind of had to put them in there. And that was kind of the talk all year. There could be 4 AL East teams. And so I picked all 4. I thought they'd all make it. Well, and then you had the Angels as your second wild card.
Yeah.
And then you had the Red Sox third, too.
Yes.
So, Red Sox pick's not looking too good right now.
Well, neither is our World Series pick for either one of us.
We both had the White Sox winning the American League.
Yeah.
I had the Dodgers over the White Sox, and then you had the White Sox over the Mets.
Yeah.
So, I don't think our American League pick's going over too well.
If this was a basketball bracket, I'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
I'm in big trouble anyway, but...
Well, the Mets, your NL side's a lot better than your... But both are American League.
And I'm an American League guy, too. So.
Well, I'm upset, too, because I really wanted to pick the Mariners. I was like, the Mariners could be really good this year. This is their chance to finally make the playoffs, and then I didn't pick them. And I picked Boston because I went homer. And then that's a big mistake because now Boston sucks. And they're going to sell at the deadline.
To be your antithesis here, if I said that right, antithesis.
No, you said it right.
You also were telling me how great you thought, or not great, but how good the Royals were going to be this year. You thought it'd be really competitive.
I thought they would be competitive.
So, and I'm like, So,
hey, if they're healthy.
Just shows we know more about our own teams than, everybody else.
Well, I didn't think Vinny Pasquantino would be their cleanup hitter by halfway through the year.
Carlos Santana's been playing great for the Mariners, so
that's what always happens.
Yep.
Oh, and then I was talking about how Franchi Cordero was kind of playing good this year. He's been terrible. He's gone. He had 3 errors the other night that gave up 3 runs. So I guess the Benintendi trade kind of worked out for you. You got rid of him, and then you got 3 prospects for him.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
so.
Well, that's all I had, and you have nothing else.
No, I don't think so.
All right.
So.
Well, thanks for tuning in and listening. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. You can find us on Twitter at FIntentionspod. Hit us up on there, and we'll respond. So we're just getting our feet wet. I mean, we've been in planning stage for a while, and we had to update our microphones because the microphones we had weren't quite working in sync, and so we had to make a change there. And then I've had a death in the family, so shouts out to my Uncle Benny. Love you, miss you. But we finally were able to get together and get this thing off the ground, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. We plan on being bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, yep.
So we'll put this pod out and let us know what you think.
Oh, and also before you go, I also want to say rest in peace to Bill Russell. He passed away.
Oh yeah, we just saw that about an hour ago. Bill Russell, the great Celtics legend, died, and
well, I think he was 88.
88, yep,
so
88. So R.I.P. Bill and R.I.P. Uncle Benny.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep.